Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and host, best-selling author, and every single day I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have another fascinating guest. On the show, we interview celebrities, entrepreneurs, business CEOs, athletes, and artists to find out their path to success, how they're able to overcome challenges and adversity, and of course, their keys to success. And today's guest is definitely somebody who can shine some light into that because she's been helping a lot of people achieve their successes, achieve their goals. And I've had the opportunity of speaking with her a couple of times, and what she's really good at is something I think is very, very important for everybody to learn and also to harness, and that is confidence. Because without confidence, we have nothing. If you don't have confidence, you can't move forward. You don't take action. All that stuff. When you have confidence, you can do anything you always wanted to do. She's a person who's been able to help a lot of people connect with their inner light, to move forward self-lovingly, to feel your feelings, and to stand in your own power. And of course, helping you find that empowerment and own who you are so you can live, speak, be, and live a fulfilled and free life. So please welcome confidence coach, speaker, and podcast host of Every Day is a New Day, Ms. Kim O'Neill.
Hi, Fong. I feel like I'm walking out on stage because you did such a great job with that introduction. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. It's always a joy speaking with you. You always have this great energy and great smile, and it's always positive speaking with you. So it's an honor. So thank you very much for being here. Um, Confidence. Confidence is a thing that I think everybody really needs to like harness, and especially kids. Like lots of kids are unwilling to do a lot of things because they're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of people making fun of them. They're afraid of making mistakes. But all stems from being confident in yourself. When you're confident, you don't really care about what other people say or if you make a mistake, and you can attack those feelings better because you have confidence. So for somebody like yourself who is an expert in confidence and confidence coaching and training, were you always confident?
So it's a great question. On the one hand, there's the aspect of me that says, yeah, actually, I kind of always was. And then there was the part of me that had to realize, oh, okay, no, I'm not. There are certain areas, pockets of my life where lack of confidence was showing up, and I couldn't see it until other people started pointing it out to me. And I had a few different people in my early 20s that were saying, you need to be more confident. And every time I'd hear that, I'd be like, what are they talking about? Like, I'm willing to, aim for the top and take that chance and put myself out there. But what I did not realize was where self-doubt had been creeping in and how it was showing up. And it was showing up in ways where I was, I'm someone that likes to ask questions. I like to think things through. I like to see the bigger picture, but I kind of took it to an extreme where I was second guessing what I already knew, what my intuition was telling me. And so that was something I had to work through. Get to a space where, okay, there's a difference between asking questions because you're simply curious and obtaining information and assessing. And then there's another level of asking questions because you really aren't feeling so sure if you can do whatever this thing is. There's a complete difference there. So that's, and that was something that took a while for me to really see, like, how is it showing up? When am I doing it? And I think that we are always work in progress. So I still have moments that will show up, but it's different now. It's like, okay, no, Kim, I truly believe that knowing who you are is a big piece of the puzzle. And so when you talk about kids, a lot of them, I mean, we don't tend to start to form our identity until we're an adolescent. And it's funny because I was just talking to some kids 2 days ago, and I didn't want to like be talking way over their head, but I wanted them to have that heads up, as you are growing older, 11 years old, 12 years old, 13, into your teens, start to notice, what are you good at? Who are you, right? And allow yourself to grow and experiment, into more than what you are right now. But I say that right now simply because they're going to be growing, and we all evolve, and we continue to, I think, have opportunities that allow us to reassess and go, who am I today? Right? I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. That's all I meant by that. But I just want these kids to have a heads up, knowing who you are is it's so key to really being able to harness that sense of confidence in who you are, what you're capable of. And as I say that, you're capable of everything. I truly believe that. but it depends on getting to that place within yourself where you can tap into that and trust in some of that and take a chance on yourself and all that.
Right? I find it funny that kids, when they're very, very young, they're confident in everything. They'll do everything. They have no fear. They try everything and all that kind of stuff. But as they grow older, all of a sudden it's like, what if I cry? I'm not gonna like this. And then, so why do you think as we grow older that the confidence starts to diminish? And then how do you harness that back? Because you just finished saying we have to understand who we are. So what is that
Well,
process?
yeah, that's an excellent question because part of learning who we are, especially when you're young, especially when you're a teenager, there's peer pressure and all this kind of stuff. There's a degree of learning who you are through seeing other people and who they are. So that's where comparison can start to enter the picture. And, to me, again, there's a positive and negative to it. We can notice what someone else does really well and what their strengths are. But the part that can be negative is if we start to go, oh, they can do that, I can't, right? Or they can do that and I haven't yet, right? Maybe I haven't tapped into that within myself yet. Maybe it took them several tries to be good at that, and here I am at step one, right? I love that quote. Don't compare your, and I'll paraphrase, right? Don't compare your first chapter to someone's 30th chapter. And we never know what chapter we are walking in on with someone else. So I think that's always really key to keep in mind. So yeah, kids have that tendency even more so to be comparing themselves to each other and I wish we could shorten some of that because I don't think comparison to the degree of believing that someone has something that we are not capable of is healthy. And yet we've, all experienced it on some level at some point.
Mhm. No, the thing is, what something that came up was social media. And that is something that I've found has affected confidence and self-esteem a lot. And how does one deal with social media healthily? Like how would you encourage people to use social media? Because the thing is, if you don't have social media, then there's negatives to that too.
Right.
But if you have social media and you use it improperly, there's a lot of negatives to that. So how would you recommend people, adults, kids, to utilize social media in a positive and effective way?
That's another great question. It goes back to kind of what I was just saying about don't compare your first chapter to someone's 30th chapter. What I want, I wish everyone would keep at the forefront of their mind. You are never seeing all of someone's life on social media. And that's even for the most vulnerable person out there who's sharing everything, you're still not seeing everything. So just keep that in mind. And we don't have to paint that as a picture of, oh, this person's hiding something. No, it's social media. Even the people that we encounter on a day-to-day basis, we still never know everything going on with them. So I just think that is a baseline belief that I wish everyone would have is just to know, oh, that's right. I'm not seeing everything of their life. I may not know all their struggles. I don't know what else they're dealing with. I don't know how long it took them to get there. Maybe they were actually really, really scared to post whatever they posted, but maybe they're working on their own self-confidence and their courage. And so they chose to do that. So there's always, so much that goes into it. I think it doesn't matter how much social media we use, how much internet there is, those one-on-one, person-to-person conversations make such a difference. That the value of that will never go away, regardless how AI we get, any of that. It's that's what really matters. So yeah, that's what comes to mind when you ask that.
I remember the very first time I posted a video. Man, that video took me 172 takes or something just because of all this stuff that I thought, oh, it has to be a certain way. Oh, it has to be perfect. Oh, this got messed up. Oh, I stumbled here. But in the end, a lot of that stuff is just in our minds.
Yeah,
Would you agree that confidence is the ability to decrease the amount of negative talk in our own minds and not come up with all the other what ifs or what assumptions that other people will say?
absolutely. Learning how to clear that mind chatter and be your own best friend. I mean, I use a lot of things that are cliche because they come to mind, but because they're true. It is so true. When you are someone who is putting yourself out there on social media, whether you're a teenager who, you're just a teen, or you're someone who's an entrepreneur and you're really trying to grow your following, You need to know how to be setting yourself up for success with a mindset that is healthy for you. Not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to want to support you. That was one of the challenges I've definitely moved through, and I know I'm not alone in that. And so when you start to recognize that part of like, oh, wow, maybe I don't have the support that I thought I had. Okay, it's always, always, always going to come back to you. They don't have to support. They don't have to like, but do you like? Do you support yourself? What are you doing to give to you? Everything will always be a reflection and an extension of that. And so we can take other people out of the picture. It's just simply coming back home to you. What are you doing for yourself that is in service to you, that is loving on your business, loving on yourself, and those kinds of things.
Is there a clear-cut definition difference between confidence, egotistical, and fearless?
So absolutely. And how would I define that? To me, I use the word confidence because it's something a lot of people can relate to. They understand it. The overarching picture of what we're talking about is the self-esteem. What's underneath all of that confidence that's being reflected outward? How do you truly feel about yourself? What's the value you see in yourself? Egotistical is when we're like taking it, to a level that is not so healthy. I tend to tell people that, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. They're not the same thing, but they can be kind of on that same barometer, right? So you've got I would actually say, I guess confidence would be in the middle. Someone who doesn't believe in themselves at all over here. You got the confident person over here and the person over here who's taking it to the extreme. And, at that point, then, that person, probably thinking they're better than other people and that kind of thing. And, that's never going to be really working for any of us, I believe. So, yeah.
And does it also mean they're fearless?
No, absolutely not. Because people who are egotistical actually, there tends to be, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe the research actually says that they're actually highly insecure. And so that's the thing that tends to get overlooked because all we see is this big bravado. We see, someone who, they appear on the surface to have the confidence, but anyone who's overcompensating for something, usually there's something else that's hidden underneath. And I believe it's insecurity that tends to show up. Same with bullies, same concept.
Now, when a person comes up to you and goes, "Oh, I'm very low confidence, low self-esteem," what are some of the first things that you get them to work on?
Yeah, very first thing is always, what are your strengths? And so I tend to, facilitate that process. I give them a long list. Let's look at a bunch of different words that are considered strengths, and let's not limit ourselves to this, but let's just kind of get the mindset flowing, get them thinking, and they start to look at it and they're like, oh yeah, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. And I say, don't limit yourself. Let's keep going. We're not going to just like stop at a few. We want to look at the whole list. You point out everything that you are good at. And then, they can pinpoint those things, but the next level is, are they able to actually speak that about themselves? Are they able to actually communicate that to someone else? Here I am in the position of giving them permission to be able to acknowledge that these are their strengths. But the next level is whether or not they can convey that to someone else. And so for me, this comes back to, I started helping people prepare for job interviews years ago. Eventually that parlayed into more personal coaching. And I love that progression took place. But interview coaching still shows up. And it's such a common thing for people to be able to, for people to not be able to fully own what they're good at. And if you're not able to own what your strengths are and communicate that in a job interview, when you've got this limited window of time, that absolutely is going to reflect, poorly against you. And you deserve better. You deserve to have that job that you can do, that you're good at. But usually there's simply that personal journey that has to take place first to get them to own that so other people can see it and you can get that job.
I'm going to have to get you to go back to that mindset on coaching people on interviews and getting that job for just a little moment here. What is the best way to prepare for an interview so that people would be the most confident of getting that job? Now, there's two phases to that, because one is to get noticed and get the interview to start with.
Right.
And then the next phase is actually doing the interview. So how do you be confident in both?
Practice makes perfect. Well, let me rephrase that. That was Wow, that's interesting. I typically don't even say that. Okay, so that's a key right there. Let go of the perfection. It's not about being perfect. So it's practice makes progress. And it's muscle memory. A lot of it is muscle memory. So you asked a loaded question, a fantastic question, but definitely a loaded question. So I'm going to really have to just drill it down and give some bite-sized answers here. So how do they do well in the interview and prepare for that? I absolutely encourage people to speak, before the interview, not the day of even, at least the day before, if not sooner, especially depending how scared you are or nervous you are for the interview. But speak out loud, answers to whatever questions you think you might be asked. And there's plenty of resources online to give you some hints of what you might be asked. But when you practice speaking your answers out loud. Now, as I say that, I'm not telling anybody to memorize and have a, prefabricated answer to, whatever the question may be. I won't give any examples. The point of practicing is to get yourself in the flow of hearing yourself and going, oh, yes, that sounds good. Or, oh, that's more concise. That word is a better reflection of what I'm actually trying to say. And to start to refine and hone and know how you would give an answer, because when you don't do that, people tend to ramble on and on and on and on and on. And then the interviewer tunes you out. And then all of a sudden it's starting to go downhill from there because they stop listening and then you start feeling confident in yourself. And it's this ripple effect. So first and foremost, practice your answers out loud so you can start to feel comfortable with speaking. Now, when it comes to the interview, that's a whole other thing too, that, I'm not opposed to working with someone else because some people just really aren't the best at writing and things like that. But, look at other resources online to give yourself some ideas, but then you want to make sure to be detailed, be specific, give numbers, give people things to really chew on and go, oh, they did that, versus vague answers. And then also you want your resume to be visually appealing. So make sure you've got the spelling, make sure you've got formatting, have some white space, bullet points. Yeah, all these things factor into really someone being able to positively receive a resume.
I remember one of my first resumes was my first line was, "Hi, my name is Fong. I'm very hard worker and attention to detail." I'm like, oh, that's why I didn't get it. I wrote attention to detail and spelled it wrong.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that too, right? How ironic. Yeah, I've had in the past, because what got me into this is I had a lot of experience at other jobs I was working with funneling resumes and having to, okay, let's move this one forward, not this one. And these days people are applying for so many jobs, not necessarily jobs they even want. And I remember certain resumes coming through where you could see they had, they would do the objective part, which we don't typically do anymore, but maybe sometimes. They would put an objective that applied to a different job you could tell that they were interviewing for or applying for. And then the rest of the resume actually spoke to their qualifications for us. And I was like, oh no, there's so much attention to detail that is required when you're doing your resume.
So true. Oh, or even addressing the wrong person.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
With confidence, in order for one person to get to a level where they're confident in something, there's always that awkward phase of, am I not? Should I try this? Should I try that? And it's that awkward phase that people tend to feel that it's not them. Yet we're always being told to be authentic and be true to yourself. So a quick example, for instance, to be confident, you want to have the proper posture. You want to be stand up tall. You don't want to be always walking down low. But then when you're trying that out, you feel very awkward and not authentic when you're standing up tall and walking around. So what is that line? How does one gauge that, okay, this is still me, but I'm trying something new, so therefore it's still authentic?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love this one, and I've tried to find ways to articulate it too. When you're stepping into something new, that's a whole new energy. And when we have not been used to aligning with that energy, embodying that energy, it's gonna feel different. And different doesn't have to be bad, but it just may not be comfortable because we're not there yet. There is I forget what this is called, but I use it with my coaching clients. So I should go back to learning what it's called. Anyway, there are 4 levels of competency, and yeah, maybe you know what I'm talking about. So there's the unconscious incompetence. Then there's the oh goodness. Okay, the one that's coming to mind right now, maybe you can help me fill in the gaps here, is getting to that space of conscious, actually unconscious competence. So when we're growing in, feeling more comfortable and being able to do something in the flow and not having to think about it anymore, there's a phase where we have conscious competence where we're having to think about what we're doing. It's like, okay, I know I'm doing this new thing, but I have to remember, oh, that's right. And this is how I do it. And I put that, foot in front of the other and blah, 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 blah. And eventually when you get to this space where it is comfortable, it becomes unconscious competence. It's just natural. It's what you do. It's how you flow. And that's typically the goal, but we don't start there. We start from, not knowing what we don't know to then, oh, okay, now I know it, but how do I do it? And then you start to do it and you got to still think about it. And then eventually it's like clockwork and it's not as challenging anymore.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I always get that tongue-tied. So I'm like,
Thank
I
you.
want to help her out, but I'm probably gonna get it wrong.
I have it somewhere. I know the steps, that's yeah.
When a person is able to stand in their own power, what does that feel like? And how does one get there?
Well, okay, so how does one get there? My initial response is everyone has their own unique journey. With that said, it's going to absolutely involve some of the elements I've already talked about. So getting to know, if you don't know who you are, maybe you don't know what your strengths are at all, you aren't able to identify any of them. That's your first step. Start to get to know who you are. Start to get to know what do you like, what do you value, what are you strong at, what are you weak at? And anything you're weak at can become a strength. And yet at the same time, it also doesn't have to be. You could simply say, yep, I'm not as strong as this. And that's cool. Maybe you have zero desire to strengthen that. That's fine too. It's up to you. And where are you headed? What do you want to accomplish and achieve? I forget the second part of your question.
What does it feel like? Like,
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it's a individual kind of thing, but for you and from your clients who actually share that feeling to you, what does it feel like for a person to be in the zone and be able to stand in their own power?
Okay, so of course, the first word that comes to mind is, well, it feels like confidence, but that to me is not really a specific feeling. It's more of just a state of being, but it feels like peace. It might feel like flow. It might feel like energy. And as I say that, everyone's got different energy levels. So for me, it feels like energy because that feels very comfortable to me to be in that flow and excited and that kind of thing. But it's going to have a state of balance, of harmony within the individual, of equilibrium, not feeling like you're on rocky ground. And something else I want to say here, and I know it could be debatable. So the phrase "fake it till you make it." Okay, so I'm not condoning or not promoting anybody being fake. That's not what we're talking about. But when you're in this space of, okay, I'm practicing, I'm practicing owning who I am. I'm practicing being more confident. This is where that imposter syndrome can start to appear. And there's a degree of, okay, you know what? Wear it for right now. And so it might be like, yeah, my comfortable state of being is to not be confident, but I'm practicing being confident. And so there's a degree of, I'm going to fake it till I get there, right? I'm going to put this on for size. I remember years ago, I took voice lessons from my grandma and I used to do a lot of singing. And she would say, okay, sing this song now as if you were Debbie Gibson was a favorite of mine years ago. So anyways, yeah, some people might even be like, who's Debbie Gibson? Anyway, so sorry, no shade to Debbie Gibson. I love her. Okay. My grandma would say, pretend that you're Debbie Gibson in this moment. And wow, what a difference all of a sudden, how much better I was able to sing because I was now putting on the energy of something else. Now, am I Debbie Gibson? No, I'm Kim O'Neill. But I can start to step into that energy by let's pretend a little, let's experiment. So I just wanted to introduce that in here because I know I can see some people saying like, well, I'm not supposed to pretend anything that I'm not, but yet how do you start to own something more that maybe the higher elevated aspect of you truly is? And how are you going to get there unless you start to experiment, try it on for size and that kind of thing? So I think imposter syndrome is a very common experience for a lot of people. And I think what's ideal is when a person can recognize That's what's going on right now. You aren't yet recognizing, the expanded version of who the real you actually is yet. And that's okay. Give yourself some grace with that. I know we have to wind down soon, and I could talk for days on this stuff. So I'll leave it
No,
there.
that is awesome. I like how you brought that in there because there's a lot of people who would say, I can't do this, I can't do that. But once you rephrase the question by, why don't you pretend to do this, make believe and play with that, and then all of a sudden they'll get into this mood of, oh, I'm pretending, okay, I can act this out, oh, I can sing this note, and it's just a different energy and just a
Yeah.
different mindset. So and it's funny that people don't apply that when they're going, hey, I need to prepare for an interview, or hey, I have to prepare for a negotiation or something like that. They don't role play those things. But if they did, it will probably boost up their confidence. Now, for a person who's confident, who is experiencing rejection, rejection after rejection, after rejection, at what point does that person start going, you know what? It's not me, it's them. Or do you ever do that?
I mean, you want to look at what's the type of feedback that you're getting, and what are you learning from that? How are you, if there, where there is room to improve, are you applying that? And maybe something's off. Maybe is it not the right job or the right industry, or is it there might be something that's off. So I don't want to tell anybody that if you're being rejected, then just flat out believe everything you're hearing. Nope. But we do also want to, okay, let me take that with a grain of salt and see, does that apply? Does it not apply? And when we can start to hear some of these, things that feel like, ooh, right? I just got jabbed by this rejection. When we can start to hear it and recognize, wait a second, okay, that actually doesn't fit with me, right? The more you own who you are, you're able to better discern, that was someone and just their kind of stuff going on, and they projected it onto me, or okay, they're reflecting to me that, yeah, that place really is not a fit for me. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that rejection. That was a blessing in disguise, right? So comes right back to knowing who you are and getting to be able to see, what's for you, what's not for you.
How much of the saying you everything that you have now is what you deserve, that you agree with or not agree with?
Oh, you're asking a loaded question, as I know we have to wind down. Okay. So yeah, to me that is, so that's a complex, very complex answer, because it boils down to an energy thing. But to me, it's beyond just simply, if I know that I am pursuing a certain goal, I'm manifesting something into my life, and then something shows up that I don't want. We don't always know how that thing that you don't want is actually the clue to the next part of the puzzle. We don't always recognize these things. And I could take, I won't do this, but just for anybody listening, I could even take it beyond into like kind of soul lessons and things like that that show up that maybe are so not on our radar, but there was a massive more lesson that needed to show up in that moment through something that we didn't manifest here in the physical through our words and our thoughts, but there was something more on the horizon for us. I know that sounds like a big thing. Anyway, yeah, I wish I could speak to that so much more. Energy factors into that answer. I'll leave it there.
So I'm sure a lot of people who here by now can see that you are a high energy person. Now, how do you maintain that and still be very, very positive as well? So on a daily basis, what's your routine to keep that confidence up, to keep that energy up, to keep that positivity up?
Okay, so uh, first and foremost, I don't always have the same degree of energy. Okay.
No.
Yeah, exactly right. I want to make sure people know that, because I do get the sense that people make that assumption. I have high energy, number one, because I love doing this kind of thing. I love speaking. I love interviewing, and I'm so great about connecting with audiences. Absolutely love it. At the same time, I also have to work on my mindset, right? So I'm going to tell you, like earlier this morning, like I actually wasn't feeling so great. And I was like, Ken, that's not going to work for you today. You've got to shift out of it. So I had to start to do some mindset shifts. I had to work on it, get into a better feeling space so I could show up here and be able to speak about what I know. Otherwise, if I was in the other state, I would have been like, maybe, and like life happens, life ebbs and flows. I almost knocked over a glass of water as I did that. Life ebbs and flows, and that's okay. We are human. But yeah, this is a natural, comfortable space for me, but I'm not always in this energy space.
And how do you maintain it?
How do I maintain through mindset shifts? Through the mindset shifts that help me to click into this and go, okay, what are we doing today? Who am I? Let's get back into that. It's mindset, big time.
Very, very cool. Now, for somebody who works with a lot of people all around the world on their confidence, what is one thing that you find very, very common as the main excuse?
Main excuse for what exactly?
Or not getting where they want to be?
Ah, um, I think there could be a lot of answers to this, but the one coming to mind now is I think people make a lot of assumptions that, oh, well, that person did it because they got lucky. Or I think some people even, tend to go the route of, oh, that person must have done something shady to get, sure, maybe some, but I would not make that assumption for most people. There tend to be assumptions that are made of other people that can keep other people thinking that way in a space of going, oh, well, then that's not for me. I can't do that. I don't, I don't, if someone's thinking someone did something shady, then they might go, oh, well, no, I don't do shady things. And therefore I'm just gonna, let's start to come to another conclusion. People make up certain beliefs that limit themselves. And I think that that's a big, big piece of it. And there's all sorts of beliefs they can come up with. I want to just go back to the previous question too. Another thing that I do to help myself be in an aligned, confident space is I clear my energy. And that's a whole other thing too. But that's also something I do.
Now you threw it back at me, and I just have to ask, how do you clear it? Do you
There's
just go,
lots.
clear?
There's lots of ways. I mean, we are clearing our energy in a way when we choose to shift our mindset. But another thing I do is I visualize white cleansing energy coming down. And, when we interact with other people, we have the potential to pick up energy from other people, and it can impact us. And if we're not fully clear on what's my energy, what's someone else's, maybe we don't understand, why am I not feeling so great right now? Well, because you just encountered someone who's maybe having a horrible day and you kind of picked up some of that. So it's a visualization process for me. And then I tap into how it's feeling as I'm releasing and realigning. So it's very simple. And I love that part too.
You say simple, and I'm hearing, how do I do that?
And then you work with a coach who knows how.
Exactly. They call you, or I call you.
Yeah.
You also have a podcast out, so share with us a little bit about the podcast and why people should tune in.
So I'm doing 2 shows right now. Well, one, okay, my show is the Every Day is a New Day podcast and live show. Inspirational conversations about moving forward and choosing to be more of you. And I've pivoted slightly for a while now because I am currently doing panel interviews over on the Let's Talk Fabulous show. And that's been a lot of fun. And in a bit here, I may be pivoting back to my show. So yeah, that's a little bit about it.
Very, very cool. Before I let you go, I got 5 quick rapid fire questions for you. Give me the first thing that comes to mind. I know you've had a taste of this before, but
Yeah.
these are stranded on the deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence.
Pizza.
You know what? Pizza shows up a lot with this question.
Oh, good.
Hollywood calls and goes, Kim, we love your story. You're inspirational, you're motivational. We would love to do a biopic of you. Who would you cast to play you?
Anne Hathaway.
Awesome. Anne Hathaway shows up at your door and go, hey, I got casted to play you. Let's hang out. And you go, Anne, I had the whole night planned out. This is what we're going to do. What is it?
Ooh, I would have her take me to some fancy restaurant that she knows of in Hollywood because that stuff's kind of fun to me in some ways. And then we'd go get a pedicure because that's what I love to do with my friends.
You show up at the restaurant, it's awful. And for some reason or another, Anne's status does not get that special table. So you go, no problem. And where is this going to come back to my place? I'm going to fix you something very special. What's that special dish that you would prepare?
I'm blanking. Special dish. Oh my gosh. The first thing coming to mind, this is not ideal. Anyway, a smoothie. I'm thinking of a smoothie.
Nice and healthy and fast.
Yeah.
You're on a road trip. and you're on this road trip for hours. For some reason or other, there's only one song that plays over and over and over. What's that one song you don't mind listening to?
I love It's a Beautiful Day or Beautiful Day by U2. I could listen to that for forever.
And since I know you sing, would you like to give us a little snippet?
No, because I'm not not feeling so confident in that in this moment.
What if you pretend that you are you too? Does
Gosh.
that help? No, that's okay.
No, thank you.
Okay. Number from 1 to 5.
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'll let you choose. Do you want this 5 or this 5?
I'm gonna take the other end. Other. There you go.
Okay, so success is like a cavity. How is success like a cavity?
It's okay. Okay, it's like a cavity, so it's making me actually think of a seed. So we think of a cavity, there's this cavity into, in a tooth, right? And so how does the cavity get filled up? It gets filled up from the bottom up. And I'm thinking of a seed that's been planted and it's growing from underneath the ground. You cannot always see it. And then as it grows and it sprouts, it comes up to the surface and it becomes this big tree. And of course, we don't want our cavities to get bigger than our teeth, but that's my best explanation right now is you fill it up from the bottom up.
I see that. That's a great way of interpreting that, and I love your answer. So thank you very much. That is how success is like a cavity. All right. Any final words from you, and how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can go to KimO'NeillCoaching.com, and O'Neill is Oneill. I want everyone to take time to ask themselves, who am I? And allow yourself to be flexible and open and fluid with that answer, because who you are today may not be who you are, like I said, a year from now, 5 years from now. But knowing who you are is so key to being able to know what to take action on, know how to respond to certain things, and just to simply feel good in your everyday life. I hope everyone knows that you have a light within you. You are light. And the more you allow yourself to own who you are, the brighter you shine. When you shine, our world shines. It's a beautiful thing. And that's what I want everyone to know.
I see that. So thank you very much. Make sure everybody out there connect with Kim. Check out her podcast. Check out the content that she puts out there. Always great stuff. I'm sure the more you encapsulate all that stuff in you, you're going to be more confident. And if not, give her a call.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
Fong.
much for your time. Always a joy. And that energy is absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? Engaging,
Mhm.
captivating, and also fun. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Awesome. She's Kim. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to lock your peak potential. See you later.